All right, we are here under sad circumstances. We have our captains, for the majority of us, out this week. And of course, for me, the week that Aiken doesn't go absolutely bananas, he gets a 46. I have him as my vice captain. So that's a little bit frustrating. I think I had it on Hughes when we were doing the trades video. And then I was like, oh, Aiken's been killing it. Happy enough with him in the first game. Lock that vice in because we don't know who's going to be out of these games. And another one now with Fifita going down, and it puts me in a really, really tough position with obviously one trade used now. As you can see here, officially, Atkinson went to Jeremy Marshall-King last night. He picked up a 44. Yeah, they haven't updated it completely yet, but not the end of the world. But what I was looking at here is potentially trying to sell Fuller. But of course, he's already played, or the team's already played in that first game. And we can't actually trade him out because I was going to be trading him in round 17 anyway. And I was like, oh, stuff it. I'll just do it now and get him out of the side. But yeah, we have some frustrating news. Obviously the Fifita decision. When I say decision, most likely you've captained him or viced him, so you can't move him. But if you haven't, obviously try and reverse that trade if you can. If it's mucking around on your screen and won't let you do it, make sure if the person was on the bench or whatever, move them back to the bench and then try it then. Just muck around with the situations. If you had him in the starter for starter, then move it back into that before you make that reverse trade. That's the easiest way to do it, and the only way, to be honest with you there. So that's something to keep in mind. A lot of people are asking me, should I trade this player to this player to get that extra player on the park? So it's not the be all and end all to get 17 on the park this week. There will be a lot of teams going less. Obviously, if you do have 17, you're likely to make some ranks, so that's great. But here in my situation now, I look at it and go, okay, let's just assume that Kaipi's pulled out, right? So I need 3. You need to use the rest of my 3 trades to make 4 trades to actually get 17 on the park this week, which is pretty tough. But who out of my outs are actually sells? Kaipi's Ball, potentially, if he's out this week. This week and next week he's out. Sam Hughes, definitely a sell. We actually did just get some good news that Galvin is going to be back next week. Just wanted to give him a rest, and he's a youngster, and give his wrists a little bit extra time to heal, which is good. So we won't be selling Galvin. He's important to our team, obviously, next week, but then 17 and 19 as well. So he's not a sell. Fuller would have been, but he's already locked out. Carraz is not. Fifita we can't do anything with. So really, for me, it is going to have to be Kai Pearce-Paul, and it's going to have to be Hughes that are going to be sells for me, given the situation that has played out. And that leaves me with 16 on the park. I don't think personally I want to be playing with 15, given I do have a couple extra trades compared to some people out there that are down at 4, 5, 6 and that kind of stuff. I was at 9 for the beginning of this week, and so this video we're going to go a little bit through my team and my potential thoughts. Thankfully, I don't have to make any moves before this first game, but it is something that I need to work out, either tonight or into tomorrow morning and throughout the day before, the next couple of games that pop up, because tonight we've got Broncos up against the South, and I don't think I'll be bringing in a South player, and I won't be bringing in a Bronco this week. So also the fact that I won't be bringing any Raiders or Cowboys players is fine for tonight, but I still have to work this out. There's a few options, obviously, there. We can have a little muck around with trades for my side. And I do think what I do need to say before I get into this, is if you're sitting there with, let's say you've used one trade already, locked in like mine, Atkinson to Jeremy Marshall-King, and you're down at 5 or below trades, I don't think trying to get 17 on the park is the correct decision. Whether that is making 1 to put you down to a 3 or 4, or 2 to get you down to a 3 or 4, it probably feels like a mistake to try and get the full 17. So you might be playing with a 15 or a 16. Don't force the trades. I don't think Galvin is a trade at all. I wouldn't do it for really any reason now that we've got confirmation he'll be back next week. Whereas Kai Pearce-Paul, he misses the next 2, given he's very, very likely to be out this week. And the only reason we haven't got the full confirmation is because they play on Sunday, and they'll do it in the 24-hour team update, which is what they did with Fifita here at 3 p.m. for tomorrow's 3 p.m. game. So let's just assume that he is out, because it says Barry Tui is always on the money with these. Very, very likely he's out, and Lucas will be playing second row forward. So yeah, they're the 2 guys I think in my team that I would be happy to trade, and I think they're the only 2 that you should. Guys like even Corey Waddell and these types of players now should be held. You want points this week, and they're not really going too much, down in too much of a price movement. So that's where you should be looking to hold those types of players. And how quickly it changes. One 24-hour block, and Jaden Brayley is no longer one of my problems, that's for sure. We need every green dot on the park this week, and I suggest you do the same. Get the points first, deal with the price changes later, and that also stops you from panic trading a few guys as well. Obviously, if you've got a similar situation where you've got like a King, a Karaz, Galvin, Reed Marnie, these types of players that you don't want to sell, and Corey Waddell as that trade, you're going to make it anyway, either this week, next, or whatever it was going to be, then do make that upgrade. I think that's completely fair. But don't trade these guys for the sake of it, because as we're seeing each and every week, we're getting absolutely pummeled with injuries. And it's hardly even been suspensions. Hey, it's just been injuries for the last little while. So just continue, like that tip I put every Sunday evening about holding trades, just only use trades for injuries and trying to get 17 on the park. That is even more important in these days here. So as you can see, it's 40 minutes until that first lockout, but hopefully it doesn't matter too much to you unless you're going for like a Joe Tarpany, and it's definitely something that I can go for as well in my team. But we do have to work out what setup is kind of best for me. So let's have a little muck around with Hughes and also Kai Paul out. So that leaves me with 1,044,000. So that does allow me to do the two trades that I was looking at anyway, thankfully, Hughes and Kai Paul, and that's which is what I was talking about last night and yesterday and the day before, whatever, with Wishart and also Jaden Campbell. It allows me to do that as well. But what problem that does push me into is the fact that if everyone plays next week, I would have Weeks, Hughes, and Galvin, so I'd be one extra in the halves. In the wing fullbacks, then I would be Karaz, Garrick, Fuller, Campbell, and Wishart. Wow, it's a lot. So I'd actually I'd be 3 extra across those positions, which does sound pretty disgusting and probably really doesn't work for my squad. So the other potential option, so 3 extra, okay. So in that scenario with Galvin actually being back, it probably means I can't go for any of Wishart and also Campbell in that scenario. And so therefore I'm looking at potentially, if I went for Sharp, the pretty cool thing here is if I go for Sharp at 264 and were to lock that in, actually leaves me 780k. And you guys need to have a little think about who's currently at 780k that I love on this channel. And here we go. All right, let's go by price. 780. Connor Watson. How good would that be? 4 short of Adam Fennell-Blake, so yeah, would make my decision for me. That is for sure. Fletcher Sharp out next week, so it's obviously not a problem for my side. I would have to have 2 injuries in wing fullback and half, obviously, for it to be a problem in my side there for sure. Obviously, Plath can come down from mid down to half as well, so that's something to note. Watson, I'd be taking the gamble that he doesn't make Origin for sure. So that's, he's at that price there. If I went down a little bit further, obviously Latrell's there. I could take the plunge on him. Eli Katoa could be a straight swap for Kai Ball, but I think this this drops me down to 3 edges and is is good for my scenario there. And then you have Manu at 728. Obviously the center and wing fullback duel. It would give me an extra one for next week, as I was saying there, but it wouldn't be the worst at all for sure, given he's a keeper and the center wing fullback. And we also have to look at guys, if you're trying to trade some guys in, hopefully that they can be plays that you keep for the long term and for the rest of the year. That would be a pretty clear goal, I think. Obviously don't need a hooker in that scenario. Probably don't need a center at this point. I could go Tedesco at wing fullback, but really I do think my best situation there might be to go for a Connor Watson in that mid tier and get someone obviously in a really good position to come out and score well. Joe Tarpany's the other one at 682. They both have the same buy schedule. If I went Watson, I have no cash in the next few weeks to make any moves there, but how many guys are we going to be trying to move up in the next few weeks. So Watson's obviously the worry with him is taking the risk on Origin, but I know that if he plays big minutes here, he's going to do incredibly well out there, and there's obviously a lot of potential for, if Radley's going to stay on that edge, for Watson to go play at 9 and then play in at 13 for the remainder of the game and get big minutes. There's a worry for him obviously to get lesser minutes, given he hasn't played in a little while, and fitness, hopefully he's being able to keep his fitness up, but it's hard to keep game fitness obviously there as well. So looking at this more and more, for my team, it does sit me in a place where I think that probably that is the best play. It's him or Tarpany, and going for another mid. Whereas the two wing fullbacks, I would like to have Wishart and his price gains for sure, but yeah, it's a little bit of a worrying one, given he's only going to be like a 4-week rental there for sure. So yeah, I haven't updated the outs for this week, but I'm currently sitting at 14 before the extra couple of trades. I've changed JMK in there, which is ideal. But for round 16, if I leave things as is, it's Plath, Hughes, Blork, Galvin, other Hughes, and Karaz there, 6, 7, 11, 14 at this stage with Fifita coming back next week. So yeah, obviously don't try to sell him if you haven't got the vice or the captaincy on him. If I was to make the 2 trades this week, so Hughes would be available, that goes straight to Watson, and then I would be going, who would be going? KPP and Hughesy. So KPP would become Sharp then, so nothing really changes on that front. So I'd still have 14 available next week, and also means I'm looking a little bit better for 17. Although, as I said, Fuller's probably going to go into 17 anyway. So at this point, if I don't have a backup from a Grant or a Cotter coming back from Origin, then I would be fine in round 17. It wouldn't hurt me in that way. And obviously that's hoping and assuming that Fletcher Sharp keeps his spot in the side following this week. And I'm not super excited about Fletcher, given he is going to be playing the Panthers this week, to be honest with you there. But it's something that we may just have to deal with. I love that I've got the draw down there, but I've removed the unfortunately I've removed the teams there. So that yeah, that's nice. Well done, JB. But yeah, that's fine. The draw's actually here, the official one. And the Knights are playing Panthers this week. They have the bye. They come back to Eels, Raiders, Eagles. That's not too bad there. And then I think from this point, round 19, 20, he'll be a sell anyway. So, and it looks like he's getting bought in, especially with all these trades, these injuries and stuff. He's probably getting bought in by a good chunk of people. So I suppose in that scenario for me, Fletcher Sharp, I'd be bringing in, so trading out 2 cheapy mid-rangers, Atkinson and Hughes, with Kai Piss-Paul being, kind of just a tick under a keeper level status, but we'll say he's a keeper. I'm trading 1 keeper and 2 mid to cheapies for 2 keepers in Jeremy Marshall-King and Watson, with Fletcher Sharp as well. So that would be, I think, a pretty good option there. Let me know how you'd play that out. Obviously, if I did go for Manu, it's just adding to the guys that I have extra for next week, and Fletcher Sharp obviously doesn't in that one, and he helps me out with round 19. So let's check that as well. So round 19, if I was to remove Wishart and Campbell would be then Fletcher Sharp, and he would cover the round 19 one, which would be cool. So let's remove Wishart then in that scenario. So Garrick, Drinky, Fuller, and Sharp. So that leaves me with Garrick, Fuller, and Weeks will come down for next week, with Galvin returning with Hughes. So that leaves me with 3 for round 16. Perfect in the halves. Good in centre with Karaz and Aiken there. 4 halves in round 19. I would still be sitting with the 1. Yep. With Galvin. Thank goodness that he's going to be around for that. So we will end up moving a half into our side, which is good. Watson misses 19. So let's remove KPP from the side there. Unfortunate for that one, but that changes things here. So round 16, I'll still have the 2. I'll have Blore and Fifita. Round 17, at this point, I will have, I suppose our Fainu can move around as well for following weeks, but round 17, I'll have the 2. Yeah. Round 19, I will have 1 currently. Is that right? Yeah, Fifita. No, Fifita and Pikura. Yep, that's good. And then round 20, I'll have the 3. Okay. Mids. So that means we're adding Watson into the mix there. So it doesn't actually help me too much in the mids, but I definitely don't need another hooker, given I now have 3. I would be up to 5 with the mids, and I'll be 1 short on my wing fullback, but covering all of the rounds with the guys I have available. So just Drinky that wouldn't be playing, but as I said, Fuller will be exiting this side. So maybe, just maybe, I could end up with, Campbell around 17 wouldn't work. I could end up with another wing fullback. Once we decide, if we find out maybe on Tedesco and these types of guys, but I will be needing around 19 wing fullback. So we'll have to have a little bit of a muck around with that one as to how that plays out. Actually, when do Sharkies have their bye? Aro, Karaz, and Aiken. Karaz has a bye. That's why I have 2. Yep. Okay, we'll work it all out. So basically at this stage, with that trade in of Watson, it gets me a gun, basically, is what I'm after here. And I wouldn't mind having the captaincy on him this week, that's for sure. But it would give me another gun. Round 19, we're still short 1, sadly. So Plath and Finu. Yeah. So we're just short in that one. 1 there. And then 1 short in halves. But obviously, if I'm going to be removing Fuller from the team, I need to replace him with another wing fullback that plays in round 19. But obviously, we can work that out once we get to it. And I suppose if I'm not buying Campbell here, I could hold Fuller for round 17. He could also be playing in round 17 if Hammer were to be rested, given how well he's been playing and how important he is to that Dolphin side. And they're in a pretty good position with a win last night. Fuller may actually be important in round 17. He might actually get a gig, so I may end up being able to hold him in 17 and then maybe able to hold him in 18 if everything goes well. But at this point, not much is going well, that's for sure. So yeah, just another insight into my team, guys. And it's a bit of an awkward week for potential buys, isn't it? Like, it's not... like the Trell kind of fits that bill, obviously. And I think maybe if things work out and he's not in Origin, then he could be a guy, that guy to have as that gun wing fullback in round 19. So that's something to think about as well. But that'll obviously be later down the track that we'll be needing to check that one out. So the Dogs on bye, they obviously miss this week, so it doesn't matter. Lomax is going to be in Origin anyway. Dom Young will be out. Chans will be out that week. Meany will be out that week. It'll be a Sarko. Maybe he's really cheap by that point and he becomes a buy. Obviously, Campbell did go up plenty last week and will go up even more. Wishart won't be available. So yeah, there's not a lot of options, guys, and it's definitely something that we all need to have a look at coming into round 19 for sure. That's where, like, Kohler, he works out well, doesn't he? He actually gets to play in that week. Even Blaze Talangi, for those that own him, obviously he'll play 19. They miss 16, 20, don't they? So yeah, he's someone that might be worth holding that long, but we'll have to see and we'll have to, work it out over the next few weeks. But let's just say that one is Watson, just for fun, just to show how that one looks like for you guys. And hopefully this kind of helps you make a decision over the for the next few hours and tomorrow as well. Carrigan, they're all Origin guys, so looks like Watson, and we just hit and hope and that he picks Burton as the 14. So it actually works out to 0 exactly in the bank. That's crazy. I reckon we'll leave it there, guys. There's been a lot of videos this week. 3 today with the cricket ones. If you are a cricket lover, jump in and have a listen, at least either on the podcast or for the video on the update on where the T20 World Cup's at and how Australia's going. And we'll follow that a little bit later down the track of the tournament. Thanks for being here, guys, and we'll see you in that next video tomorrow.